You're listening to NGSC Sports Radio. Hear us live on ngscsports.com, where you can get awesome analysis for all things sport. Or check out our podcasts on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, iTunes, TuneIn, and much more. For our latest videos, head to NGSC Sports YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter at NGSC Sports and like us on Facebook. NGSC Sports. We never stop.
And make sure you can still hear me after that. Can you still hear me? Okay, whatever. Sure. That's how we're going to start episode 229 of the Foreign Affair Podcast, because fuck you. That's... Yeah, there you go. Oh, Verizon. One of the fourth corporations left on Earth after the big merger of 2020. Welcome to the Foreign Affair Podcast. I am Edward Green, joined as always by my Colin Crime, Wes Bradshaw, and we do have a lot to talk about tonight. To be perfectly honest, I thought halfway through today about just scrapping the entire thing and making this a giant Man United podcast episode. It's still kind of going to be that a little bit, because not that much else interesting happened, especially this weekend in the Premier League. But we will review it. We will also talk about the League Cup. Just because we have to. Because we have to. We can mention it, as we like to do. We'll also have a little bit of news and notes, including what may be the dumbest idea I've heard this year. And trust me, I've heard a lot of them, as well as Watch For and So Raw. As always, we're presented by NGSC Sports at NGSCsports.com. We never stop. So, all right, Wes, let's get started here. It's very interesting that I can't change my volume. Let's get started with the Premier League, shall we? Why? There you go. That's it. Yes, it's the only one that matters this year. So let's go through some of the other matches. Exciting stuff over at Craven Cottage to start the week as Fulham pipped a goal in the last 20 minutes of their game against Watford, thanks to Alexander Mitrovic coming over from Newcastle. Man, does Rafa wish he had him right now. It cancels out a very, very early Andre Gray score from just the second minute of the match for the Hornets, but that is a 1-1 result for Fulham and a big point for them against a team that had been doing very well so far this season. Leicester did very well on the weekend. They beat Huddersfield 3-1 after initially trailing by a goal in the first almost 20 minutes. Kelechi Iheanacho equalized things up. And then a guy that has been doing good work for Leicester so far this year, James Maddison, he picked up the winner in the 66th minute. Vardy added to his party in the 75th. With a goal there. Crystal Palace and Newcastle played a 0-0 draw. It happened. Over 25,000 people reportedly saw it at Selhurst Park. There you go. Burnley. Well, I wanted to say in this spot that Burnley started turning their season around, but after the current week's results, I don't know that that's actually the case. But they do get a dominating 4-0 victory over Bournemouth. Ashley Barnes with a brace late on. And then we can go to there was no Monday Night Football. Okay, so then we can start from the back to the front. Otherwise, drab showing at the Emirates still produces 3 points for Arsenal West, as the two most hated men, now beloved at Arsenal, Alexander Lacazette and Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, score in the second half, just 3 minutes apart against Everton for the 2-0 win. Again, not a great game by any stretch of the imagination. These were basically the only two good moments, really, for either club. Each one only mustered a handful of shots all game. So not a great game of football. But Wes, the important thing for Arsenal is they do get a 2-0 victory, and keep up going through their current little good streak they're on to pop them up into the top 6 in the table. All right, so guys, I just want to let you guys know, in case you didn't hear Wes, leading up to this point in the podcast, we had some audio issues, which is unfortunate because when we talked about the Arsenal-Everton match, he literally solved all of Arsenal's defensive problems in like 5 minutes. It was a masterclass in managing from the couch. So
what can I say? I'm one of the greats.
He truly is, folks. I can't say enough about him. But you'll just never get to hear that, unfortunately.
I'm a modern day mix of Jock Stein and Carlo Ancelotti.
Perfect. He's and more, honestly.
With the fire of a young Jurgen Klopp.
There you go. So that's
as for Everton, I have there's nothing to solve.
They're a trash fire.
Everton.
So we're gonna move on from them. Normally we would breeze past games like this, but we are not today. West Ham 0, Chelsea 0. This is, I think, a pretty good result for West Ham. They got a win in their previous match against Everton, funnily enough. And then they come out and get a draw at home against previously perfect Chelsea. So I think this was a great, this might be a bigger result than the win over Everton, especially the way Chelsea have been playing and the way they continue to play so far this week. Great game from West Ham-ish. I mean, it was a very defensive game, but as they managed only one shot on goal, but they did hold Chelsea to only 6. So it wasn't one of those like crazy disparity games. Chelsea just wasn't able to put one of their few opportunities in. And again, that's Chelsea having only 6 shots on goal despite having nearly 2/3 of the possession. So Wes, I mean, this is obviously Chelsea may have been caught looking ahead a little bit to their 2 big matchups with Liverpool coming up this week. But still, that's one of those where who knows where Chelsea's going to end up by the end of the season. But this is a match, even on the road, where you might look back and say, man, that was 2 points that really could have helped us out.
Yeah, now, I believe over the next few months, we're going to see Chelsea starting to fall maybe out of that championship title contention.
Mm-hmm.
They've gotten off to a good start. I don't think anyone, maybe other than the most deluded of Chelsea fans, think that they're that great. Mm-hmm. That includes their owner, who is apparently a menace to society. We'll get to that. We'll get to that later. For West Ham, this is a really big result. The horrible start to the season they've had, to get a win against Everton a week ago, and then in a match where, really West Ham are not expected to get any sort of points out of, to come out with a point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think anytime when you're a lower down the table team, or really even a mid-table team, to be able to take any sort of points off of a City, United, Liverpool, Tottenham, Chelsea. Notice I didn't say Arsenal.
Yeah.
But really, to be able to take a point off of those teams, I mean, that's great. That's a good day at the office for you, because those aren't points that you were expecting to get.
Mm-hmm.
So, especially for West Ham, I mean, that's good. It does leave them 17th in the table. I know we'll go down the table a little later. But, I mean, they're even with a few other teams. It's just some goal differential right now that has them down.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look at the fact they were the last Premier League team to even secure a point.
Yeah.
The fact that they're now out of the relegation zone, that's a much better it's a lot better than what we were saying 2 weeks ago about this squad.
Absolutely. This is really what they brought in Pellegrini for. Was for matches like this, and he is starting to right the ship a little bit.
And I guess then as for Chelsea, I mean, yeah, you could see it as 2 points lost, but at the same time, I mean, this is just a Chelsea team that they're going to have some days at the office like this, where if things just aren't completely ticking for them, especially against a team that sets up defensively. Now, trust me, as a Liverpool fan, I can tell you about teams that set up defensively. I mean, Jesus, I can tell you how frustrating it gets. And Chelsea kind of seem like under Sarri, they're going to have those days where the other team they've gotten it right. And they can just, Chelsea will pass the ball around all day. Jorginho will have 394 pass completions in a match. None will go more than 6 yards.
Yeah.
But you're going to see that now and then from Chelsea, I think, this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And also big props to Lucas Fabianski in this match for saving one of Alvaro Morata's shots with his face. Proper Scott Sterling right there.
Well, and for Morata, I mean, that's disappointing because that was one that was actually looked like it might go in.
Yeah. Who knew Morata could score a goal? It's weird.
I still haven't had it proven to me recently.
Yeah, it's a weird quirk. All right, let's head next to let's go to the Amex Stadium where Tottenham put a dominating 2-0 performance on Brighton and Hove Albion. No, you can't prove to me that Brighton and Hove scored in the last minute. I don't believe you. No, what? That didn't. Anyway, Tottenham with a 2-1 win, coming off their 3 consecutive defeats overall. Harry Kane with the penalty in that one, just on the first side of the halftime break, and then Eric Lamela with the second goal that really capped it off. Brighton and Hove did get the consolation goal at the very end, but it wasn't enough for them. And Wes, this was a really good match to watch, where even though Harry Kane scored on the penalty, he looked a lot more involved, a lot stronger than he had in previous weeks when a lot of people were starting to do the whole "is he tired" thing. And for Tottenham, this was a very important result to get, again, at a place where, I hate to keep bringing it up, but Brighton and Hove have beaten Man United there in back-to-back seasons. So we know this team can find big wins at home. And for Tottenham to go out and put that dominating of a performance up, I think maybe says, especially maybe kind of sort of after today's League Cup result, that maybe they've avoided the crisis mode for now.
And that's a good thing. Tottenham just needed to be able to stabilize things. I'm not wholly convinced that. I'm not saying Tottenham's going to have multiple 3-match losing streaks by any means this season, but I'm not convinced that Tottenham's problems are, quote, solved. Voila, hey, we beat Brighton and Hove. See, everything's fine. I'm reminded of that moment in Animal House where Kevin Bacon is holding up his hands. Remain calm. All is well. And then he eventually gets trampled to death. So, but, I mean, for Tottenham, it was very important to right the ship for the moment, at least. I still think a lack of overall depth could come back to hurt them this season. I don't think it'll materialize into 3-match losing streaks. But, this was a big one for Tottenham because it does keep them, it keeps them in a good spot at the table. And yes, it is still early, but when you've gotten off to Tottenham got off to a good start to their season, you don't want it to all fall apart, and suddenly you're looking up like, how the hell is Man United ahead of us? So that's a big thing for Tottenham, but they do get a win. Harry Kane did look a lot better. Hopefully that is more the trend than an anomaly going forward. But a good week for Tottenham. Good week to get that win.
Absolutely, and Kane does move. He does join Jermaine Defoe as tied for the 5th highest score in Tottenham's history at 143 goals. It's quite impressive for a one-year wonder. What
was this, year 5 of being a one-year wonder?
I think so, yeah. Not one-year wonders are Man City, especially guys like Sergio Aguero, Bernard Silva, Ilkay Gundogan, maybe, and Riyad Mahrez finally getting some multiple goals for his new club as City put 5 past Cardiff in Cardiff, and just not much to say about this game, Wes. I mean, Manchester City just pretty much did what they wanted to with Cardiff and were rewarded thoroughly for being able to destroy a much worse side.
I mean, I think some people think that we should be surprised that a Neil Warnock team is doing what Neil Warnock team does.
What?
Neil Warnock kind of holds this dubious distinction of never keeping a Premier League team up.
Mm.
You know, you've got guys like Big Sam who they never go down.
Mm-hmm.
You know, those guys who come in and, you know, that handful of guys, they're keeping them up. Neil Warnock seems to be like a fantastic championship coach.
Yeah.
Premier League, not so much.
Yeah.
Now, of course, yeah. I mean, it's not like he's managing, you know, Man United or, one of those top teams or anything, but still, you know, it is kind of a dubious record. It's like, man, he sure does win promotion and never stays.
It's a tough thing to do.
Yeah, no real shock to see Cardiff. I think we both had Cardiff going back down this year.
Mm-hmm.
But for City, I mean, it's just more of the same. City banging in goals and just doing what they do.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, for Cardiff, so far just 3 goals in their first 6 matches of the year. Still have yet to find their first win. They do have Burnley coming up, but then in October they have Tottenham, Fulham, and Liverpool. So Burnley might be their best chance for a little bit to get a win on the season. So, and again, Burnley did just beat Bournemouth in the league 4-0. So remember to keep that in mind. All right.
Burnley, you know, maybe finding their feet after a tough start. So.
Yeah. Well, you see, we say that, and then we get to the League Cup, and it's like, did they?
Oh, but who cares? It's the League Cup.
Of course, I forgot. We don't care about it this year. Let's talk about the team that's not caring about the League Cup. Liverpool played their JV team this weekend at Anfield and got a big 3-0 win there. Got an own goal to start things off from Wesley Hoyt, just knowing, hey, that was his audition for being able to join the varsity squad later. And then goals from Joel Matip and Mo Salah in the first half put the game away and made it never in doubt as the second half continued on at pace. So, Wes, a comfortable 3-0 win for Liverpool that, again, sets them up now for a top-of-the-table clash with Chelsea coming up this weekend.
Absolutely. And you got a chance to see some of that noted strength and depth that Liverpool fans are so excited about this season. Where, I mean, you know, last year Liverpool, I mean, hey, had a great starting 11. And then we saw the bench in the Champions League. It was like, oh, shit. You know, when you compare last year's Champions League bench to believe what Klopp had at, what he had against Southampton this week. You know, suddenly you're looking at, you know, guys like Naby Keita and James Milner. It's suddenly a much, much more imposing bench. But this weekend was the first opportunity for Xherdan Shaqiri to kind of show what he could do for his new club. And he was absolutely fantastic. I guess, well, you could say set up the first goal when it bounced off, you know, a wicked shot by him bounced off a pair of Southampton players and into the back of the goal. And then the third goal, the Mo Salah tap in, was a fantastic free kick that hit the bottom of the crossbar and kind of bounced straight down, and Salah was Johnny on the spot. But Shaqiri was very adamant, you know, even in his short little cameos where he's come off the bench, Shaqiri has been very active. He's been influential. He's working his ass off, and you can tell he is because, yeah, this is a guy who's not used to having to play a role from the bench. It's a guy who has a ton of confidence in himself, feels he's one of the best players in the world. And on his day, he definitely is. And now finding himself where he is, he's having to really work his butt off, because this isn't Stoke where, he's first name on the team sheet because he's just far and away the best player there.
Right.
And I think that hunger, you're seeing a better Xherdan Shaqiri already than what we've seen in the past in his time in the Premier League. Other than that, it was good to see Mo Salah get back in his scoring ways. But God, it's been almost 4 whole matches since he scored. Mm-hmm. I mean, who has droughts like that? Jesus, what's going on here? So good to see him back. But also, Salah, even while he hasn't been scoring, he's still been working his ass off. He's been pressing. He's been doing little things to help the team, and it's good to see when it does pay off. Joel Matip back in the starting lineup. That was to rest Joe Gomez. Then Virgil van Dijk ends up coming off around the hour mark. Took a knock to the ribs, which everything we hear, he should be ready for Chelsea this weekend, no problems. But Gomez comes in and he kind of picks right up where Van Dijk left off. Matip, his first start of the season, he played a very quality match, got the goal as we saw. So, I mean, for Liverpool, it was just it was a very somewhat routine 3-0 win. You're seeing some of the differences from last season, the season before, where last season up 3-0 at halftime, Liverpool would have come out in the second half and put pedal to the metal and tried to get 4 and 5, which could have led to Southampton maybe getting 1 and 2 coming back the other way. And this season, you're seeing a little more pragmatism from Jurgen Klopp, where he feels with that defense, and very rightly so at this point, from the back five, when you talk about Alisson, Van Dijk, Gomez, Trent, and Andy Robertson, when Liverpool goes up 1-0, 2-0, all right, hey, we're shutting this bad boy down. We're just worried about getting our 3 points this week. It's not about Mo scoring 40 goals this year. It's not about having to continuously, try to pull after goal in there. Mm. And I mean, it was just another example against Southampton of that pragmatism. And, we've always said, scoring goals is great. Scoring goals can shoot you into the top 4, but defense is what wins titles. And it just another week and another example of Liverpool looking like, God, how long has it been since I said this? I don't think I've ever said on this podcast, Liverpool may have the best defense in the Premier League. I mean, really, I could have said that was back during the Rapid. We're not podcasting, so yeah. It's a stark difference from what I'm personally used to as a Liverpool fan in recent years. And crazy, I know we're going to talk the EFL match later, but looking right now at Liverpool's back 4 plus the keeper, today in the league match, in the Carabao Cup match, Liverpool played the defense that was the number 1 defense a season ago. At this time last year, the best defense Jurgen Klopp could put out was Mignolet in goal, Moreno and Klein at the fullbacks, and Matip and Lovren at center backs. And I can guarantee you we would not be sitting on 18 points through 6 matches with that defense. Mm-hmm. I mean, we would probably be sitting on 10 or 11. So, it is the Liverpool squad. It looks the same. It looks a lot the same when you start looking up front. Oh, they got Jordan Henderson on the big 3. Yeah. Man, this is from 12 months ago, this is a completely different Liverpool team.
And they will have their chance to truly prove that on the weekend. But before we get to the next week's schedule, before we get to the table west, there is one more match we have to talk about.
Oh, there is. We've mentioned their name a few times, but now it's time to dive right in.
Oh man,
I've heard Nick Petrovic's a happy young man this weekend, I believe.
absolutely. Espiritu Santo. That's not just something we say anymore when we pray to the Holy Spirit. That is the name all Wolves fans are chanting right now, as his team went to Manchester United and got a 1-1 draw thanks to a great goal from João Moutinho in the 53rd minute to cancel out Fred and his opening 18th minute strike. You couldn't hear it because it's an audio podcast, but I was visibly rolling my eyes after saying Fred. And if we look at this, I feel like we've been here 8 million times in the last 2.5 years since Jose Mourinho's taken over, and it's like, another disappointing Manchester United result. We have Pogba coming out after the match and pleading almost for Josie to attack more. I guess especially against a team like Wolves that, again, no disrespect to Wolves and all the great moves they made this summer, but Manchester United should beat Wolves, but they didn't on this day, and you have to just wonder, and again, we'll get to even more with the League Cup later in a few minutes, because we might just transition from this to that. But this is a United team in complete turmoil, and I just have to wonder how much longer both of these guys are going to be around, because quite frankly, Wes, I think we've hit the point as of today, Wednesday, September 26th, that neither Jose Mourinho nor Paul Pogba will be on Manchester United next season. But this was terrible.
Something's got to give.
Yeah.
I mean, it's and then of course it just keeps getting, as I texted you, more delicious.
Yeah.
As it goes, where Mourinho has now announced that Pogba will no longer be the vice captain.
Yeah.
As I guess a punishment for his outburst.
Yeah.
God, and the thing is, it splits so many camps. You're either pro Josie or you're pro Paul, or you're like us and they're just pro drama.
Yes, very much.
But I mean, this week, I think I agree with Pogba. I mean, this is a United team who, especially at home, over the decades, at home is your chance to open up because you've got the crowd. You should have the momentum behind you.
Mm-hmm.
It's one thing to me. It's one thing for Mourinho to play that style when you're playing Liverpool or you're playing City or you're playing Tottenham or Chelsea. But I mean, I'm sorry, you should be better than Wolves.
Well, and you say that, if I may interject here, you say that, but you can't play that style against Spurs at home and lose 3-0. You can't do that.
Yeah, I mean, well, but you remember against Spurs, more what I was saying was, against a Spurs or a Liverpool or City, it would be, okay, I understand we're playing a little more defensive because we're not quite the firepower team they are.
Oh, I get that. Yeah.
And of course, that was the match against Spurs that Josie decided, I'm going to play all.
That's true, yeah.
And, no, this should have been the match he maybe played all out of time. But, oh, man, it's like Mourinho just can't quite get the tactics where he needs them to be.
Mm-hmm.
And then it doesn't help when the guy who's considered your best player, which for some reason everyone keeps forgetting that David De Gea exists when they say that, but and has only been like your player of the year for the last 4 years. But when your best player is coming out and openly questioning everything, it's just like Paul never stopped being Paul and Josie never stopped being Josie.
Exactly.
And you guys keep doing it forever in a Man United shirt. It's bizarre, but even when you look at this match, the last 10 minutes of a Man United match, especially at Old Trafford, used to be the most terrifying 10 minutes of every team season. because no matter what you had done, all you had done for 80 minutes, all it took was being up one. All it took was United being down 1 goal, 10 minutes left at Old Trafford, and you're shaking in your boots, going, "Oh shit! How are we going to fuck this up? How are they going to do this?"
time.
Yeah, and we laugh at Fergie time, and it's kind of mocked at times, but by God, the man was consistent.
Yeah.
They consistently were the team that you hated so damn much because they were the one who always found a way to turn you over in the last 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. Well, like I said, no matter what you had done for 80 minutes, you had played your ass off. You had game plans. You had done everything right. You had gotten a lucky goal. You had gotten one on the break. If you were up 2-1 with 10 minutes left, there was a 50-50 chance you were still losing that match.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, there is no fear of Man United.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, everybody pulls one out, but I mean, there's no confidence from the fans. Those United fans used to kind of stick out their chest like, "Hey, good 80 minutes, guys. We'll take it from here." Well, now their fans are up there going, "God dang it, we're down 2-1. What the hell? We hate you, Josie. My God, but Paul, what are you doing?" And it's just that aura of invincibility has, ever since Ferguson left, that aura of invincibility has just been taking hit after hit.
Mm-hmm.
And it just continues to happen, man. And, the thing is, David Moyes, I think we can all go back and agree that that wasn't the right signing. Or
sure.
That wasn't the right managerial hire at that time.
Absolutely.
But, as much as we love to laugh at Louis Van Gaal,
mm-hmm.
because that man just said the most bizarre shit ever, and he was Dutch. And he had, like, this horribly weird haircut. Louis Van Gaal was a good manager.
Mm-hmm.
And he wasn't able to succeed at Old Trafford. Jose Mourinho, I think everyone can agree this guy is a great manager.
Mm-hmm.
But it is not working. It is not working. But, there were people when he was hired who said, yeah, he's great, but this is not the right place for him. There's something different about United where Mourinho he doesn't fit the United philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
The famous story is how Liverpool, basically Mourinho came down in 2003 to picking between Liverpool and Chelsea,
mm-hmm.
and chose Chelsea. And of course, the rest is history. Chelsea's gone on to the best run in their club's, history ever. Mm-hmm. And Liverpool, of course, still hasn't won the league. But, at that time, we would have hired Jose Mourinho. But you almost wonder where Liverpool would be now under Mourinho.
Oh yeah,
and you know what, they might have, the streak might have ended. We might have won a couple of titles, and we probably would have won some trophies.
Mm-hmm.
But Mourinho just kind of leaves a trail of bodies behind.
Yes.
And you almost have a fan-based civil war everywhere he goes.
Mm-hmm.
And you just wonder, we won some trophies. But, at the same time, and don't get me wrong, Raffle was probably about as defensive a manager as Liverpool ever had.
Mm-hmm.
But even he doesn't go Mourinho levels.
Not quite, no.
And it would have been interesting to see maybe where we had gone as a club, because I don't know if we would be where we are now, which is, playing, even to this day, playing the most expansive football maybe in Europe. And, if not the most expansive, I think Liverpool can definitely be thrown in that top bill as one of the most exciting squads to watch in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
But it could have just been so much different with Mourinho, and that's kind of where United are. United are the team that are known for attacking and playing that flair football, and not so much playing the beautiful football of Arsene Wenger.
Sure.
But United have just always come at you, and now they don't.
Yeah,
they don't.
Despite having really good up front men like Pogba and Lukaku and Martial and
the artist formerly known as Alexis Sanchez.
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah.
You want to talk about some shit shows right now? Sanchez and Lingard.
Yeah.
I mean, you and I are having about as good a season as those two are together.
Yeah, and at least Lingard has the excuse that he played in the World Cup.
Yeah, Sanchez is. Ooh, well, I mean, I think Sanchez's excuse is just the fact that I mean, I think the comparison's been made before. You don't buy a Ferrari to drive down a dirt path in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I have a Silverado for a reason. I live out in the country. I need a pickup truck. I do not need a $250,000 sports car that will probably, get broken going down my driveway. And unfortunately for Alexis, and I heard something about this earlier this week, and it was a hell of a point. Alexis Sanchez basically traded his playing great football.
Mm-hmm.
He basically traded that for extra money to go to United because, I mean, he could have gone to City.
Mm-hmm.
And do you know how devastating if you drop him into that City team with the way they play? I mean, it'd be devastating. I mean, they're already devastating.
Yeah.
And then you had Alexis Sanchez. But unfortunately, he went to, he is a surgical tool that is basically, being used like a baseball bat.
Mm-hmm.
And now Alexis has to shoulder his own responsibility in this. But at the same time, I mean, it's just, I think both him and Pogba are kind of like that. But, Pogba at his position could just work harder and just play overall better.
Mm-hmm.
Sanchez just relies so much on having to get the ball and get it in certain places and go in certain places.
Mm-hmm.
And this United team, other than Pogba, when he decides to be on, they just can't give him the service that he needs. And I say it's sad. It's not sad to me. I love it.
Of course.
I'm in high heaven with them playing like shit. That said, they're playing like shit. I mean, they're still up near the top of the table, but I mean, this is not vintage United.
No.
And like you said, I think we definitely are reaching a point where somebody's got to go.
Mm-hmm. Well,
and trust me, Mino Raiola has no issue telling everyone, "Oh yeah, Spain's calling, Italy's calling, everybody wants him. We're going to look for a move."
Well, and here's the biggest issue, and I tweeted this to Arlo White today because he was talking about it on Twitter as well. The biggest issue I can see right now of trying to move Pogba is, okay, so it's pretty much a non-open secret that he wants out of United. So where would he go? He could go to, realistically, Barcelona.
Well, realistically, I wouldn't be shocked to see him move back to Juventus.
Well, that's what I was going to say. It's Barcelona, Juventus, and PSG.
Well, maybe Real.
Okay, so Barcelona, Real, PSG, and Barca. Those four teams.
Yeah.
There is one big problem if they want to buy him in January. He's cap tied.
No. They changed the.
Wait, what?
Yeah, you're not cap tied anymore in January.
Oh my God, I
don't think we've ever truly explored and talked about that this year.
I did not know that.
Yeah, you can buy in January now, and they can. You can play, I believe, for two teams in the Champions League this year. I believe that's the wording of the rules.
Wow. That's amazing. Oh wait, okay, maybe this is it. Let me see this article right here.
Rules 2018. Yeah.
The January transfer window. Blah, 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 blah. In previous seasons, clubs were able to register new players for their knockout stage of their European competition, but all these players had already played in Europe for another side early in the season. But UEFA have now scrapped that rule, and instead, players will be free to represent two clubs. Wow.
Oh, it's a game changer. Huge game changer.
Oh my God. Never mind. Fuck, Pogba's gone. Oh man, he's so gone in January.
I mean, that's the thing. Yeah, I mean, he legitimately now. It could open things up legitimately now.
Well, because I was like, if PSG buys him, what's he going to help them with? They're going to win the league, but he can't help them in the Champions League. And now I'm like, well, fuck.
Well, and I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't think he's going in January. I think if anybody leaves during the season, obviously, I believe it's going to be Mourinho.
Sure.
I also believe that I think with Pogba's thing, I don't think Pogba's so much. I don't think it's a Manchester United issue for Pogba.
Okay.
I think it's really turned into a Mourinho issue for Pogba. I truly believe that. I think this is more. This is a fight between him and Mourinho. It's not anything with the fans. It's not anything with the club. Nothing like that. I think it is purely a manager-player row.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where, I mean, that's just where United's going to have to make the choice at. And we've had this discussion before. I think in this age in football, I think you take the player over the manager.
Yeah.
In this situation. You know, it is a brutal position to be in for United.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. It's a brutal position for them to be in. And that's, you know, extended by the fact that for whatever unbeknown to God reason, they gave Mourinho a big extension last January.
Yeah.
Which for Mourinho is great. That means they'll pay him more when they eventually fire him. or he resigns, either or. They'll pay him more. But, you know, United, to me, this also comes back to Ed Woodward and members of United's hierarchy. I mean, these signs were there last season.
Oh, yeah.
And at that point, you should have known in the bag, we might have a decision to make. And then when you re-sign Mourinho or give him the big extension, it's almost like saying, okay, you know, we've got Mourinho's back. And then you turn around and don't give him any money during the summer. Yeah. So, you know, the thing is, I can see from both sides here. I understand why Mourinho is pissed with the situation.
Mm-hmm.
So I say, you know, he was given the long extension, the big money extension, and then not back all summer. And then you've got Pogba, who, you know, I think Pogba's looking at like, I've got X number of years to be a top flight player and to be this big time marketable player. You know, I came to United to take the next step in my career.
Mm-hmm.
And my career almost looks like it's regressed a little bit. Mm-hmm. Not his marketing by any means, but his career, it seems, has regressed some because, you know, suddenly now he's with a manager who, you know, kind of sold him the world and is now like, oh, no, I want you to be like a defensive mid.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I can see from both sides where both of these guys are frustrated. I just hope it lasts forever, you know.
Oh, of course. That'd be the best scenario. But that it clearly will not, and it's just a matter of time now before the dominoes start to fall. And that could continue depending on how things shake out this weekend at 7:30 a.m. as we hit your weekend schedule. Manchester United will be heading to West Ham to start the weekend off at 7:30 a.m. at the Olympic Stadium. That's going to be a very interesting match now with West Ham starting to hit their stride a little bit. So we'll see how that goes. 10 a.m. you have the choice of Arsenal, Watford, Everton, Fulham, Man City, Brighton, Newcastle, Leicester, Wolves, Southampton, and Huddersfield versus Tottenham. And then 12:30, obviously your match of the week is Chelsea. A winner will go top of the table, most likely tied with Man City, if it's Chelsea. After that, then Sunday at 11 you get Cardiff versus Burnley, and on Monday you get Monday Night Football on NBC Sports with Bournemouth versus Crystal Palace at the Vitality as Wes wets his whistle. And
then also just to throw out next week, non-premier, we do have Champions League on that next week as well.
Absolutely. So that'll be the juggling act as well. As we take a look at the table, Liverpool are back to being on top with 18 points thanks to Chelsea's draw. They are now.
Sorry, just feels right.
City and Chelsea both have 16 points. Watford are in fourth with 13. Tottenham and Arsenal are tied in fifth with 12 points, and Manchester United rounds out the top 7 with 10 points along with Bournemouth. At the bottom of your heart, the relegation zone, West Ham currently sits in 17th on goal differential, while Newcastle, Cardiff, and Huddersfield all look for their first win of the season. All are at 2 points. All right, Wes, let's hit the League Cup real quick. Your winners from the third round, with one match still to be played tomorrow. Crystal Palace beats West Brom 3-0, just like they were back in the Premier League, with a brace from Andros Townsend. This is the reason I keep saying Burnley might not actually be back. They went and lost to Burton Albion, a League One side, this week in the the League Cup. 2-1. A goal from Shane Long was not enough to overcome the dynamic duo from Burton Albion of Liam Boyce as well as Jamie Paul Allen. It's not Joe Allen. Paul Allen, Joe's long-lost brother. Just 2,500 people watched Burnley succumb at Burton-upon-Trent. So Burnley is out of the cup. Norwich had a back-and-forth game against Wycombe that they won 4-3 for a big win there for the Gators. Manchester City romped over Oxford 3-0, goals from Jesus Mahrez and Phil Foden. Fulham beats Millwall 3-1. Thank God Millwall's out of the competition. Fulham with a big win there. Bournemouth 3-2 winners over Blackburn. Needed a Callum Wilson 95th minute winner to get past them without going to penalties. Goal from Jordan Ibe as well in that one for the Cherries. Middlesbrough needed penalties against Preston 2-2 draw, but they won penalties 4-3 to see off the North Enders. Wolves not as fortunate in the League Cup as they were on the weekend. They do draw Leicester at home 0-0, but Leicester goes through on penalties 3-1. The biggest news maybe out of that one, though, however, is a big injury for Leicester. As I need to actually pull it up here. I believe it was Damari Gray. Yes, Damari Gray with a big injury in that one. Had to be subbed off in this match. But we're looking to see, because that is a big man for Leicester, to see how much time he could miss. Blackpool out of League One beats QPR 2-0. Nottingham Forest beats Stoke 3-2. Good old Stoke. Arsenal beats Brentford 3-1. West Ham beats Poor West and Macclesfield Town 8-0 out of League Two. And this was one of these Simpsons. Stop! They're already dead.
Macclesfield Town, the namesake of point,
yeah.
Are the worst team in league football.
Yeah. Well,
they are dead last without a win at the bottom of League Two. So
that showed. It really showed. And as mentioned, Everton and Southampton do still have to play. Wait, why does that say October 2nd?
I couldn't tell you.
I guess they're playing on October 2nd. So
they have a replay.
Or they weren't deemed to be necessary to play this week. Apparently, they don't have Champions League football, so they don't have to worry about playing next week.
Exactly.
All right, so also Tottenham with a crazy 2-2 match against Watford. This has been a crazy matchup between these two teams so far this year. Isaac Great's success got started for Watford in the 46th minute. And then after the 80th minute, that's when the hit the fan. Dele Alli put in a penalty after he was fouled in the box in the 82nd minute. Eric Lamela looked to have won it for Tottenham in the 86th before former Tottenham Hotspur legend Etienne Capoue equalized things with a deflected goal in the 89th. It did go to penalties. Tottenham did win 4-2 on penalties with Capoue, double agent Capoue, missing his penalty there. And then, Wes, we do have to talk about it ever so briefly. Chelsea do go to Anfield in round one of their matchups this year and do come away with a 2-1 win. Emerson gets his first goal for Chelsea, and Eden Hazard, who, as we mentioned, has decided to play football this year, I guess. He had the winner.
Or he's trying to get them basically contract year.
Contract year, baby. He gets the winner in the 85th minute. This comes off a great goal from Daniel Sturridge, though, in the 58th minute, which he had to do because he missed maybe the easiest chance of his life at a goal before then. And it's funny, I saw this, and I was reminded, I was on a Reddit thread for FIFA 19, and someone on there was complaining about FIFA 18, and was like, "Can you believe this shit?" And he recorded people in his game missing wide open goals, and this shit's the unrealistic thing ever. This is terrible. It would never happen in the profession. Blah blah blah. I'm like, well, you see, sometimes it does.
Well, and the thing is, I mean, we've seen. You know who misses those? The best strikers of the ball.
True, yeah.
Lukaku had one earlier this year. God, who was it? It was one of the top strikers last year. Had a wide open one and just shanked it. I can't remember who it was. I mean, and Sturridge did that. Yeah, Sturridge misses that one and then scores that insane bicycle kick. Oh me. Well, my quick analysis: VAR. Wow, everyone says VAR will save the world. Well, they couldn't get a fucking easy offside call today against Chelsea. Jesus Christ. The equalizing goal comes off a set piece where Ross Barkley heads the ball over to, as you said, Emerson, who puts it in. Well, actually heads it off the limp wrist of Mignolet. Cool. That a few times. And, of course, it goes right into Emerson's viewpoint. That said, Ross Barkley, good half a yard offside on the free kick. So that ball should have been dead as soon as it hit him, but whatever. Nothing to say about the Hazard goal. It was spectacular. Mm-hmm. I mean, that was Hazard doing his impression of Leo Messi.
Yeah.
And also Alberto Moreno doing his impression of a Spanish bullfighter. So, ole, let me let you go right back. So anyway, I mentioned it earlier. This was 12 months ago Liverpool's number one defensive setup.
Mm-hmm.
My, how times have changed.
Oh yeah.
Right now I don't have a big issue changing one for one out of that group and our starting group. Matip has proven to do a good job this year. Lovren obviously had a great second half of the season last year and is one of the top defenders in the world. Just ask him to tell you. Now, of course, he was also making his return today, so he had some rust. But truly, I wouldn't have an issue with Nathaniel Klein playing right back anywhere. Mm-hmm. Moreno is, in case of emergency, break glass. Mm-hmm. Other than that, I see no reason why we should ever play Alberto Moreno ever again, really. And Mignolet, God bless Mignolet. The guy has some saves in him, but man, you saw it. He's just not good enough.
Yeah,
he's good enough for Liverpool to finish fourth or fifth. Mm-hmm. He's not good enough to try to win the league and try to win with. And as a backup keeper, it's kind of like Tottenham with Michel Vorm. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, he can, if we have to go a run of 3 league games and he's our keeper, you're going to be kind of watching through your fingers, but you can deal with it. Mm-hmm. Kind of like if Allison misses 3 months, or if Reese misses 3 months, or if Ederson misses 3 months, because we saw we got the well, not because. Well, hold on.
It's Claudio Bravo.
It's not Camara. It's it's Bravo.
Yeah.
Well, there's another one right there for you.
There you go.
Meetings, it's like, oh shit. And we saw it today, man. The same defensive frailties that have popped up in the past popped up today. And that's the difference in Liverpool being in the League Cup and being out of the League Cup. That and the fact that VAR obviously doesn't work in England for some reason. But it's what it is. End of the day, Liverpool are a squad, to me as a fan. Liverpool are in 4 competitions. This is number 4. Well, actually, I'm sorry, 5 if you count the international Guinness, Jack Daniels, whiskey, liquor drink, pot smoking cup, or whatever the hell they call it. Mm. They're dead to me, so whatever. But even this was number 4 out of the 5. So, it's one of those things I would have liked to have kept going because, Liverpool in the past, the great Liverpool teams, they would win the League Cup. They would go win the League Cup.
Mm-hmm.
And, it was always a nice little springboard to, hey, you get you a trophy in February. Mm-hmm. And then, it's a nice springboard going the rest of the way. But, if we had to be, let's put it this way, we turn around, we play Chelsea in 4 days. Brother, I will trade 100 League Cup wins to beat Chelsea in the Premier League this week. It'd be worth everything in the world just to beat Chelsea this weekend. So, end of the day, it sucks. We weren't quite good enough. Fabinho finally got kind of his full-on debut today. Mm-hmm. The thing about Fabinho, Klopp's been saying it's taken him a while to kind of get in tune with this squad and get his playing style down. And I think that's an issue that people think, well, you spent big money on somebody. Why can't they walk in right? Well, I think a lot of times you're buying a player. Now, yes, I mean, there are times where you're buying a player and you're like, okay, right in, one of my best players. Liverpool kind of have the luxury where they were able to buy Fabinho and he didn't have to walk right in. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, by the end of the year, Fabinho, like the guy in Liverpool's midfield. But right now, you saw he's not ready for whatever reason. A season ago, it took Andy Robertson to get a match. Mm-hmm. That's worked out pretty good. It took that turned out pretty good. Mm-hmm. So I kind of trust this Klopp guy. He seems to kind of know what he's doing. Mm-hmm. But we did see Fabinho today, and it was nice to see him get the run out and get the match. I don't expect to see a lot of Fabinho in the next month, I would say.
Well, and the Premier League is so different, and some people just never adjust to it. It's very, very tough and very, very different from most leagues in the world.
And also, I mean, when you look at Klopp is the first one to tell you, Keita played in a system that was a lot like ours, mm-hmm. but even he's still having. Now he's been able to come in and he system, but even he's having to adjust to the Premier League. Fabinho, Monaco doesn't play a system.
No,
they don't, and it's just it's taking some time to kind of get that it thing, mm-hmm. especially in midfield and defense. A lot of times as an attacker, you can come in and if you've just got that natural talent, you can just go out and do things. As a midfielder, when you're trying to control the game, when you're having to do defensive shifts and things like that, and shore up defenses, a lot of times it can take that little bit of extra time. Mm-hmm. But hopefully hopefully it'll pay off itself by the end of this year. If not this year, next year he might be able to hit the ground and just be a star. But overall, I mean, I think it was a positive. You can take the positives out of it, but at the same time, you can look at it and be like, we have really improved, especially defensively.
And and someone that hasn't, unfortunately, is Manchester United.
Of course.
The final match we have to talk about in the League Cup. Manchester United got a third-minute goal from Wata. But Derby County was allowed to come back into the match thanks to current Liverpool loanee Harry Wilson scoring in the 59th minute Old Trafford. And then the wheels just fell apart for Manchester United after that as they had their keeper sent off, Sergio Romero, for a red card for handling outside the box. He had to go. Juan Mata was then subbed off, and then so Manchester United had to give a first cap, I believe, for their goalkeeper Grant, Max Grant, I believe his name is.
Lee Grant.
Lee Grant, thank you. So he was faced with a very unenviable task. Jack Marriott then came on from his hotel to score a goal for Derby County in the 85th minute. That could have been one of the most famous goals of all time, beating Grant. But unfortunately, Marouane Fellaini popped up in the 95th minute to level things up at 2-2. and then penalties happened, and they went back and forth, 7 straight makes for each side. But then in the 8th round, after Richard Keogh put one in for Derby, unfortunately, the great effervescent Phil Jones was not able to convert from the spot, and United falls 8-7 in penalties. And I mean, Wes, this is after this week, and there's the video now from training today, because this happened Tuesday. There's a video from training today where it looked like Josie and Pogba got into it a little bit. I also don't want to read into this because, unfortunately, because of work, I was only able to watch like the last 25 minutes. So I do know, though, the first time I saw Pogba was he did not dress. He was not in the 18, and it's not that I blame Josie for not playing Pogba.
Well, no, I think that was planned anyway.
Yeah. I don't think that was crazy. So that's not the part that was kind of weird. But I did see the first shot I got of him, again from where I picked up, was in the 89th minute, about there, with United trailing 2-1, and Pogba and whoever was around him got up and left. I don't know where they went. I don't know if they went just straight to the locker room. I don't know if they just left. I don't know. So I don't want to. We don't speculate on injuries. I'm not speculating on where Pogba went. All I know is he was sitting somewhere in the stadium, and with United down 2-1, about to be at the 90th minute, he left. That's.
I did not see any of that. May I ask?
Sure.
Question associated with Pogba here.
Sure.
On a scale of normal to Cam Newton, what may Pogba have been wearing?
It was an 8. Oh, it was an 8. Maybe a 9. Maybe a 9.
So he wasn't quite Cam, basically dressing like Medea for his match conferences.
No.
But he was not wearing a normal Hugo Boss suit.
No, it was not a Hugo Boss suit. It was not a track suit. It was a very interesting white, fluffy article of clothing, and sunglasses. So even the match was played at night.
Cam Newton is just it turns out Cam Newton has basically a dashiki, a hat, sunglasses, and like high heels. This shit now. I hate Cam Newton
so much. All right, but that's to steer it back to Paul Pogba and Manchester United. I mean, this was as difficult as the draw was against Wolves, as bad as the loss was against Spurs, as bad as the loss was against Brighton. This one's gotta feel really bad, even with a rotated squad. West, this has to feel, with everything going on, just like the absolute low point.
I mean, once again, a United reserve squad should beat Derby County.
Should be, yeah.
Now, my absolute favorite part of the game. First of all, did you see the Harry?
Yes.
Oh my God! I mean, that was a world-class free kick.
Absolutely.
I mean, from anybody in the world. I mean, Messi's. Holy shit! that kid put that in. And then my absolute favorite part is when Harry Wilson then took off to celebrate and mimicked a certain former Merseyside striker named Fernando Torres with his 5-time celebration, where he just pointed at the United stand and held up all 5 fingers, reminding them that his parent club, the mighty Liverpool, have won Europe 5 times, baby. I loved it. I was dying. I immediately knew it.
Of course.
Shit, he just went Torres on him. But I mean, give it up to Frank Lampard.
Yeah, great job.
Frank Lampard, I mean, in his first, his first, I guess not his first test, his biggest test as Derby manager, walking into Old Trafford and beating his mentor.
Well, not even just that, like, that's huge, but like, think of at the end of that match, you're coaching Derby County, you're about to beat Manchester United 2-1, and then Fellaini heads one in the 95th minute, and now all of a sudden you have to regroup for penalties. Like, that's to get those guys ready and for them to go 8 for 8. I think you're right. I think this was a great job from him to steady that ship, because that could have gone south really fast.
Absolutely. And just to throw out for Frank Lampard, I'm stealing this. I saw it this week, so it's not all from my mind, but I did dial I just want to give congratulations to Frank Lampard. In the last week, I believe he and his partner welcomed a new baby in the world.
Oh, great!
And congratulations on John Terry's baby.
As we go on to the schedule for the fourth round, we can tell you that because Everton and Southampton play next week, there will be 10 teams from the Premier League going into the round of 16. They are Arsenal, Bournemouth, Chelsea, Palace, Fulham, Leicester, City, Tottenham, and West Ham, along with the winner of Everton and Southampton. From the Championship, it will be Derby, Middlesbrough, Norwich, and Nottingham Forest. And then from League One, the dream is still alive for Blackpool and Burton Albion. So that draw will be held after the Everton-Southampton match. So that is doing it for our match talk. Let's hit to the news and notes. And real quick, just starting off, I guess this is a pretty good piece of news, one I didn't even realize needed to be made because I didn't even realize this had to be a thing. The Women's Player of the Year award by FIFA had been a thing, but now they're making it the Ballon d'Or officially. I didn't realize that's not what they called it. That's my bad, but I guess good on FIFA for doing that as it should be. It should be equal. I just kind of always figured that it was. Wrong on me for suggesting that FIFA had done something right in the past 20 years. So let's get to, speaking of really stupid ideas, this story from Football Italia. Juventus president Andrea Agnelli has confirmed that the work is underway for a third UEFA competition. And the reason I'm doing this in such a bad accent is to accentuate just how bad of an idea this is. This is a terrible...
You sound like the Italian.
Thank you. That's pretty much what I was going for.
You eat all of the food.
They're talking about a new 32-team tournament, which would be created to complement the Champions League and Europa League. They're discussing maybe they'll take the Europa League from 48 down to 32, so it'd be 32, 32, 32 across the board. This is absolutely a terrible idea. And Janelli is quoted in this article saying, "We have to think about what football we want to leave behind for our children. In the 70s and 80s, the European Champions Club Cup was won by teams like Ajax and Benfica. Now it's complicated to see them at the top because of the enormous economic disparity between them and clubs from Spain, England, and Germany." And look, I am someone who, especially with this run that Real Madrid has gone, I am getting a little tired of it. As much as I already would have been of Real Madrid winning, I'm tired of seeing them at the top every single year. It's grown very frustrating. But I'm just someone like when I still cared about the NFL, I didn't really like that the Patriots won every year until I stopped caring, and then it was funny to see everybody else get mad at it. So I understand the idea of wanting to see some amount of turnover. I do get that, and seeing other teams win the Champions League. I don't see how this solves that problem by inviting 32 other not that good clubs into their own competition. Like, I mean, in here in the States West, we have March Madness. We have the 64 college basketball teams go off, and then what we have under that, we have the NIT, where, hey, that's not great, but you know, if you're a club or a team that had a sort of good season, and hey, you get to go play the Final Four in Madison Square Garden. You get to play the championship in Madison Square Garden. That's pretty all right. And then we have those other tournaments like the CBI and then
you have a tournament that East Carolina won.
Exactly, it's very prestigious. And we don't
we have a banner hanging 10,000 seat gym for that. Hey, it's just about the only banner we've got.
That and the 1993 NCAA tournament trip.
Damn right.
Still remember that. So I have to aggressively say that, and this is, I can't decide if this is a worse idea than making the UEFA Super League. I think this is a worse idea. I'm not sure, but I know unequivocally that this is a terrible, terrible, terrible fucking idea. We already complain for teams like Burnley and Arsenal and Chelsea who are having to play in the Europa League this year. Well, Burnley not so much anymore. But about that poison chalice. What the fuck is this going to be? The poison porridge bowl? Like,
What day would they play it on?
This is bad. This is just bad.
Ed, how bad does UEFA want to be in trouble?
Apparently very.
I mean, this thing is custom built for Everton.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Folks, we have an exciting European final. Everton versus Genoa.
Oh god. It's never been this real.
It's coming to you from Keenan Memorial Stadium in Chapel Hill, North.
Hey, I'd cover that.
Hell yeah, we would. We'd be the only ones there.
That's true.
Us and their local newspapers.
Oh god.
Us, their local newspapers, and ESPN 8.
Are you kidding? You think reporters from Merseyside are going to come here for that when they could cover Liverpool?
I mean, it's Everton. It's a European. It's a chance to win a European.
Yeah, I guess so.
Ed, as I've quoted the song before. Crap! I've forgotten my quote of the song. But anyway, there's not a trophy scene. Let's sweat them clean. So for Everton, that would be the Champions League, Premier League. But hey, Everton will win the. Now, let's name this bad boy real quick. Okay. So we've got the Champions League. We've got the Europa.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's Europa now. I have to make sure. Are we going to call this the sub-Europe? The sub-Europe? The sub-Europa?
Well, I mean, I know in South America, I think one of their tournaments is called Sudamerica Recopa. Like they just put re in front of Copa. So I guess it could be like Re-Europa.
And you know what we're calling this?
What are we calling this?
The Sepp Blatter Cup.
Oh god. That's strong. Oh, that's really strong.
Live from Red Oak, North Carolina.
It just gets better.
at the field behind Red Oak Middle School.
Oh god.
Which doesn't have lights, so it has to be played during the day.
That's fine. Nobody wants to see it in the cold light of darkness.
Live from Wesleyan College.
Oh god.
Played alongside the Battling Bishops versus Averett baseball game this afternoon. Once again, no lights available, so it has to be played during the day.
Yeah.
The Sepp Blatter Cup final.
Oh man.
And then, Ed, someone would get the distinction, Lacazette, of sipping from the Blatter Cup. As it runneth over.
It's a full bladder right there.
And they would take the 100 and drink milk out of it.
Oh god. It's
delicious, warm milk. Because that's what winning that competition would feel like, drinking warm milk.
Oh god, this is a terrible idea. It's the best
straight from the teat of Sepp Blatter.
The best worst idea that's ever been created. Oh.
The Blatter.
Well, speaking of Sepp Blatter's home in Switzerland, that's where apparently Roman Abramovich is trying to hide.
He wants to live at the Matterhorn. What's wrong?
Nothing at all. I believe I mentioned this on one of the weeks you were out, that Abramovich was not going to get a visa for the UK because he's Russian and kind of not super clean. He's been denied a visa to live in England. I believe he became a citizen of Israel. Mm-hmm. Now he's trying to live in Switzerland though, because Switzerland is a lot nicer than Israel.
Tax haven.
That too. Both of those things are true. But it doesn't look like he's going to be able to. The Swiss authorities have rejected it, he's been deemed a danger to public security. So that's always good. Swiss, they stay out of wars, but they protect their own.
And one big thing the biggest thing that came across, they believe that he's been involved in some money laundering.
Yeah, shocking.
Yeah, I mean, when you see the words "oh, danger to society," you're thinking, what is homeboy like carrying a rocket launcher in his backseat or something?
Well,
it's not that. Well, Hey, his arm guard maybe. I mean, it's more, they found potential, some criminal activity. And, Switzerland's one of those countries that, now Switzerland will take immigrants.
Mm-hmm.
But that said, I think they're choosy with their immigrants.
Mm-hmm.
They do a vetting process. But I mean, hey, you start looking at the Swiss national team, just a couple of quick guys that come to mind. Granit Xhaka, Xherdan Shaqiri, they're both Albanian.
Mm-hmm.
And I know back during years of the war and what, of course, is our biggest fan, the Balkans, there were, they took some immigration from there. So they are open to immigration, but they are also, you've got to go through the proper channels to get into Switzerland like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think just the specter that there could be some criminal activity in there,
mm-hmm.
I think they're just kind of like, look, sorry, this ain't happening. And, for Abramovich, it's interesting, man. There's a reason he don't want to go back to.
Oh yeah,
it's probably because there's probably a mob hit on him somewhere. And it remains to be seen exactly what's going to happen with Chelsea Football Club about the fact that he's not being welcomed into England anymore. And I don't know if that may have something to do with Brexit, the whole European Union thing, which I'm not educated on that enough to really make comments at this point about it. But I wonder if that has something to do with it, where England are kind of like reviewing visas that they've been giving out for years.
Mm-hmm.
But you've got to wonder for Chelsea, because you already saw this summer where they kind of didn't go out and do what they normally do. They had a few years
mm-hmm.
as more and more things have been swirling around Abramovich. So, you've got to wonder maybe what the future in 5 years for Chelsea is going to be. Because now and it has been Abramovich and his regime that has turned Chelsea into a global brand.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, Chelsea was a very regional brand in England. Before he came in, they never had success like they've had since he's been the owner. And there are a lot of loyal fans to Abramovich because of that. I mean, why wouldn't you be?
Mm-hmm.
You listen to Michael Davies talk on the Men in Jackets, and it was never what it's been since Abramovich came.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's unprecedented success at the club. So, and they realize they owe it to Abramovich.
Right.
He's the one who pumped in the money. He's the one who pumped in the money for the infrastructure. Pumped it in for players, stuffed it up for coaches. I mean, that club owes their worldwide standing to him.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not so simple for them. It's not so simple as, club.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's, we've seen regime changes at other places where things haven't gone right, whether it be ownership, whether it be front office, or whether it be the manager. I mean, we've talked about them today. I mean, God, Arsenal and United are glaring, glaring right there. What's going to happen to Chelsea in the long run? What's going to happen to Chelsea? So, I mean, this Abramovich thing, while we sit here and we're like, who cares that much? It's something to keep your eye on.
Absolutely.
For the future, especially at that club.
Sure. And we're going to be doing it, and that's something that's just the story keeps developing over time. Again, at first it was just being denied a visa for the UK, and now it's Switzerland as well. So I think this could have a profound effect in the long run on Chelsea Football Club. So Wes, that's going to do it though for our news and notes. Let's hit the watch for. Wes, what are you watching in the week that was or the week that will be?
Last week we talked about Jack Ryan.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Fun series. I enjoyed that one. I have started a couple of things to point out. I've started a new series on Amazon Prime.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'll say it's a new series. It's new for me. It's one that's already been done. It's 6-7 seasons and was highly acclaimed. and I've seen season 1 and I'm loving it, and that is Justified.
Oh.
The FX, I believe it was on FX.
This feels so hard up your alley that I can't believe you didn't watch it live.
Well, I think what it was, it started and I didn't get into it early. It's just I didn't get the chance to watch it early.
Gotcha. Okay.
I think it was kind of in that in between to have a deep.
Mm-hmm.
So it was one of those, and The Sopranos is on that list too. I've got a handful of shows that I know are my kind of shows. I mean, Justified is it's basically Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah, exactly.
And Mayans-esque and all this shit. I finally got the chance to watch it, and I swear to God, I have raved at the greatness of Walton Goggins in the past on this show.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, I think I have found peak Walton Goggins. Boyd Crowder may be the greatest Walton Goggins character by far of all time. I mean, he is quoting scripture. He goes from episode 1 basically blowing up a church with a rocket launcher to, preaching the evils of, that evil filth, methamphetamine.
Mm-hmm.
And he does it with the greatest Kentucky accent of all time. I mean, it is spectacular. Timothy Oliphant.
Oh, yes.
Who's, he's the star of the show. I mean, he's magnificent.
Mm-hmm.
But Walton Goggins just steals every single scene he is in. And of course, our very good friend of the show, Deuce, you know him as Deuce, he's Clint Williams, has raved about it to me. And when he found out I was watching it, he said, just enjoy the 6 years of Walton Goggins on it.
There you
go. So Justified definitely in. Looked like Chicago Fire's back this week.
Yes,
for
it was.
Season 7.
Started tonight.
Cool. I've got on the DVR. I'm down for. I've actually still got a couple episodes of season 6 to finish, so I'll be able to roll right into that. Mayans is going strong. American Horror Story. I have not started Apocalypse yet, but I think this is episode 3 coming on tonight.
I think so. Yeah.
So I've heard good about it so far. I've heard good. I haven't heard a lot, but when it's been brought up, so oh my God, yeah, watch Apocalypse. So into that, and I'll give you a quick spoiler for So Raw. I haven't watched it.
Oh boy.
So that's going to cut So Raw very short because I have no idea what's going on with that. But
alrighty.
Yes, I will let you get to your watch for the weekend.
Sure. Well, last week I talked about The Good Place coming back. It does come back tomorrow on NBC. So exciting. Superstore, another show I really like. I actually watched. I binged the entire 3 seasons that had been up to this point a couple months ago after on a whim just starting it off. That's really great. That starts next Thursday as well on NBC. And then for the trifecta of now NBC shows, I just randomly got bored one night when I was laying in bed and before I fell asleep, and I was like, you know what I want to do? I want to go back and watch some 9-9. So I just went on to Hulu, picked a random episode, and I'm like, I'm just going to start watching from there. So I think I started around season 3. And I'm just like, I'm just going to start watching again. And I'm back in midway through season 4 now. And just, it's so good. And I think one of the funniest things is apparently Hulu's been changing it over the last couple of days. At first, when I started rewatching it, it started with the Fox logo and had the Fox logo in the bottom right-hand corner. Then there was a very awkward night where it started with the NBC logo and the Fox logo was still in the bottom right-hand corner. And now, as of I think last night, now it's NBC logo to start, NBC logo in the bottom right-hand corner. So they have made the transition over time.
They figured it out.
Yeah, it was not a quick process, apparently.
Well, much like Bruce becoming Caitlin,
yeah,
it's a process.
Yes. Oh, Charles. So yeah, I'm very excited for when that next season's going to start on NBC. There's just so many great shows. NBC's really starting to do pretty well, actually. So good for them.
You doing that with 999. Now that I've obviously seen all of Parks and Rec.
I love doing this with Parks and Rec. It's great.
Oh yeah, and with there's at least one channel and sometimes 2 that you can just catch They do like a 2-hour block of The Office, or The Office. Well, The Office, too. Yeah. But of Parks and Rec, and now I can now just jump in anywhere and be like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, it's that episode.
And my God, Parks and Rec. I need more Ron Swanson in my life.
Dude, I remember it was one of the Thanksgiving episodes for Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and it was one of the ones where they needed to go visit Captain Holt's old boyfriend. And I had forgotten that it was Ron Swanson. I was like, oh yeah, it is you. Oh, he's still so good.
It is so great now that you know and love. It is so great to just turn on random shows and be like, oh God, it's Nick Offerman.
Well, it's the weirdest thing in the world because of like this whole Mike Schur universe. Like seeing, because I was watching an episode today of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and God, what is Jake's wife's name? Amy. Yeah, sorry.
Amy Santiago.
Yes, Amy Santiago. Amy's old boyfriend. When he's doing their audit, his girlfriend in the episode is Tom's first wife when they were illegally doing for the visa.
Yeah, his Canadian wife. Yeah.
And she's also in The Good Place in a couple episodes, and I'm just like, it's like all these characters just keep popping up in all these shows, and it's so funny.
It's funny, and just Nick Offerman, just himself, he plays. You had Ron Swanson, who for 7 years you saw him as this is Ron Swanson.
Yep.
This is a man. This is a man's man. Ultra conservative, and then you see him in other things. I mean, there was an episode of the new re-release Will and Grace, and of course he's married to Karen in real life. Yes. So Ron Swanson, Nick Offerman makes an appearance in here, and over a 2-episode arc, he plays the love interest of both Will and Grace, and which culminates with him suggesting the threesome,
of course,
and getting up and saying, "Well, I'm going to my bedroom. Let's see who's following." And I mean, it is just fantastic. I saw him the other day in We Are the Millers, which is, I mean, just that movie. It's magnificent. But the one thing I wish we could see Parks and Rec now. Ron Swanson with Donald Trump as president. I mean, I can just see, where he kind of puts his head down and chin into his chest and just gets the biggest shit-eating grin on his face over things. I mean, can you imagine him walking into work the day after Donald Trump had won the election, with, of course, Leslie Knope being the biggest Hillary fan of all time, as she would have been.
It literally would have been the only positive of him winning.
It would have broken cable television.
It's literally the only good thing that would have come out of all this. Oh my God! It would have made for great television. Amazing. Well, I'll television.
Tell you, one of my best friends, Rob Nelson. Rob went to Carolina. Mm-hmm. I think he's a little ahead of you, but he was there when George Bush won re-election in 2004. And I mean, Rob was he's an unabashed conservative Republican. And he said like walking onto campus the day after that election. He said it was like walking into.
Well, and I have actually the flip side of that.
I didn't know if you were there at that time.
No, I have I was a junior in high school. I have the flip side of that because I was in school there when Obama won for his first term. And that was like winning the national championship.
It was like going to Carnival.
Yes.
Yes. I mean, there's your that's how I imagine, and Rob basically walked around like Ron Swanson all day with everyone crying and wailing and gnashing of teeth. And I could just imagine Ron Swanson just walking in, grinning, eating 2 pounds of bacon. And when Leslie walked,
Leslie
doing the Swanson laugh.
He's going to drain the swamp, Leslie.
The swamp will be drained.
Now,
I have been trying to drain this swamp for 20 years.
Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to go work on the Morning Star project.
Oh, Jesus. I mean, how magnificent.
My Mike Schur.
We're now doing fan fiction for this.
Mike Schur, I am sending out the bat signal for you. Please, I know Amy Poehler and Nick Offerman are still working together. They have that other show on NBC, that Make It Whatever show that I haven't watched yet for some reason. Please, just one episode. That's all I'm asking for, man. Just one episode.
Or even if you could give us like a 10-minute internet exclusive.
Oh, God. Funny or Die to the rescue.
Oh, my goodness, yes. And then just have Andy pop. Because, I mean, who's bigger than Pratt?
Oh, God, yeah.
Just have like Johnny Karate or something.
I will also say this. My one-name producer, Jackie, did send me a video one day, a couple weeks ago, of... it was about 15 minutes long, and I want to get the title of it correct here. So just let me pop it up here. It was on. I'm going to forward this to you on Facebook Messenger here in a second.
Okay.
The title is "I Thought She Was Strange, but I Didn't Know She Was That Effing Strange," and it's just 13 minutes of Aubrey Plaza doing some of the most weird and uncomfortable interview bits on late night talk shows that have ever existed. It's so great.
You know that she is an absolutely hilarious woman, and stunning.
Oh yeah. Oh
my goodness. I didn't realize it. Yeah, I she's so cute. She's a pretty girl. She's so cute. And then all of a sudden, I think I saw like Dirty Grandpa. Oh Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a gorgeous woman.
Yeah. She was in because she was also in Legion, and she had her moments in that show, and just she cleans up well. She was also, and I kind of want to see it. She was in a movie with Scarlet Witch, aka Elizabeth Olsen, where Elizabeth Olsen is like this Instagram model kind of lifestyle person. And she becomes obsessed with her and moves out to California to try and be like her best friend. And it's supposed to be like this kind of like dark comedy sort of thing. And I really want to check it. I forgot the name of it, but yeah.
I'm Googling it as we speak. It is Ingrid Goes West.
Yes, that's it. Yes.
Interesting.
So it's
very interesting.
Very, very interesting. I don't know how this became the Mike Schur podcast.
I don't know, but well, we had to fill in.
That's true. That's your So Raw for this week. We got So Raw with the Parks and Rec and Brooklyn Nine-Nine crews.
It shows that we're not actually watching anymore, but just one.
Okay, so apparently we need to wrap this podcast up because one-name producer Jackie just said, you're taking forever. Yes, Brooklyn Nine-Nine and all these shows are great, but come on. So
yeah, I have to get up and get a kid to school in the morning.
So with that, let's make this the end of episode 299 of the Foreign Affair podcast. I want to give a big shout out, of course, to NGSC Sports at ngscsports.com. Oh, big dicks just got shown on stream. Huge dicks flapping on stream live. Big thanks to NGSC Sports.
What is dinging?
It's my text messages of one-name producer Jackie saying very inappropriate things. I'm going to hit the do not disturb there. So, of course, thanks to them. You can find them on Twitter. I have totally botched this outro. You can find them on Twitter. You can find us on Twitter as a collective. We are at AFA Pod. Wes, you are?
I'm at Wes Bradshaw 21.
I'm at Edward Green. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. We are our parent show, the All New Sports Show. You can also email us at that address, allnewsportshow@gmail.com. Finally, I want to thank our podcast providers, including Podbean.com, Stitcher, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, the TuneIn Radio app, Google Play Music, and the iTunes Music Store. So, Wes, before we get out of here, is there anything else you'd like to add?
If you like high school football, we're going to get some more of it. An extra Carolina high school season playoffs have been pushed back a week due to Hurricane Florence.
Yes.
Which actually makes my life a little easier because I was trying to figure out how I was going to get off for a Southwest Edgecombe. Yeah. Instead, I get to wait till November 9th, and I have a day off. So.
Oh, hell yeah. Function at the Junction to end the season.
Yeah. So, it's going to be the end of the season, and I do Southwest will be trying to spoil a perfect harbor.
Yeah, probably.
Because, brother, ain't nobody getting close to that shit.
No, not at all.
Ain't nobody getting close to that shit.
So, for McCall in Crime, Wes Bradshaw, big thanks to a one-name producer, Jackie, for dropping in on the stream. Big thanks to her. Big thanks to all you out there for listening. I'm Edward Green. We will catch you guys next week for episode 230. Until then, stay safe and enjoy the football. But not you, Pogba.
Yeah, definitely not you, Pogba. And good night, Johnny Karate, because we just need you back in our lives.
It's true. Oh, little Sebastian.
Bye. By the way, that is literally one of Callie's.
Really?
It's bye, bye, little Sebastian.
She's got great taste. What can I say?
Oh, my God.
You're listening to NGSC Sports Radio. Hear us live on NGSCsports.com, where you can get awesome analysis for all things sport. Or check out our podcasts on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, iTunes, TuneIn, and much more. For our latest videos, head to NGSC Sports YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter at NGSC Sports and like us on Facebook. NGSC Sports. We never stop.